everyone. Today I thought I'd pass on a few thoughts about empty nest. I have just become officially an empty nester, and I honestly never thought that it would be a big deal with me. I've always been rather independent and strong, and raised my son to be the same way. As I may have said before, I put the house up for sale the beginning of January because it was time to move on to big and better things, another chapter in my life. And so we made it official, and we put it on the market. And about the end of January, we had a near miss, and it was under contract, and then it wasn't. I guess that happens quite a bit. In the meantime, my son, who lives with me, who's lived with me for all his life, we were preparing to go our separate ways and to go on to big and better things. And we had gone on. We'd been going on, through February and through March, preparing financially and with stuff, going through stuff and things, and just acting normal. It was just normal. It was a normal routine. And then on the last day of March, my son told me that he had indeed found a place to live, and that he would be moving out the beginning of April. And it never hit me. It had never struck me that this was, what was going to happen when we did sell. I knew we would both be going in different directions, but it never struck me. I never thought I'd end up with empty nest syndrome, but yeah, I have it. And so yesterday he started packing his things and started moving them over to the new house, or the new apartment that he's, I assume, going to be sharing with someone. I don't think it's very far from here, but he made a couple of trips, and he did sleep here last night. And he was gone this morning when I woke up, and it struck me just how final this was. I think one of the reasons why I never expected it was because I was always so happy when he did make big jumps in his life. When he was going into preschool, on that very first day of preschool, I wasn't sure that he was going to get on the bus. But the bus pulled out, and he marched himself right out there, and he got on that bus, and I'm like, yeah. I was so happy that he had made that jump. And then when he went to college, it was, he still had his stuff here. He was just going to college for the semesters. And so when I dropped him off at Potsdam that first semester, it was okay. It was like I finally got a house to myself for a little while. But his stuff was still there. His room was still full of, all the, his graduation stuff. And that was okay. And he was at Potsdam for 4.5 years. And then he came home. And he's been with me ever since. So, except for the 4.5 years he was at Potsdam, for the last 34 years he's been with me. And we've kind of been a team, just the two of us. And I'm not quite sure why it's hit me so hard. I don't know if it's the fact that he's an only child, and that there is not another one coming along that I that I have. I don't know if it's because we've been so long together, because 34 years is a long time for a kid to stay at home, even nowadays with the way things are financially. But and I'm not sure if it was because he's always such a homebody. He's home more than he's out. He goes to work and he comes home, and so to not have him here is very, very different, and a little sad, because I always knew that at some point he was going to say to me, "Mom, I'll see you when I see you," and he was going to walk out that door. And it's what kids do. It's what kids are supposed to do. If you're a good parent, a good mom, a good dad, that's what you want. Is you want them to go spread their wings. I never wanted him to be a failure to launch kid, and he was with me all through COVID and all of that, and he was always working except for the 2 years through COVID, and I dragged him through several states because I have a sort of restlessness that I'm never quite satisfied in any one spot, and he put up with that, and he did well anyway. He doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he doesn't do drugs. He's extremely responsible, probably more responsible with money than I am. A very good driver, and so it's a little sad to see him go, and to not know when I'm going to see him again. Well, his room is empty. He's moved on. He spent yesterday packing. He found a place closer to work. There's nothing left. The closet's empty. The bed's unmade. All his things are gone. The dog won't eat. This has been harder than I thought. I didn't think that I would have a problem with him moving out. But it's tougher than you think. So there's his things, a lot of his things. His little bookcase that my dad made for him. All his old trains and cars that he had when he was a kid. Things he's moved on from. But I think the hardest is that green little bag right there. It's filled with all his stuffed animals that he had when he was a kid. That was the hardest, was going through that. We'll get through this. We'll get through this. So this morning, when I was going through the room to check and see what he had left behind, he had left a lot of his toys that he'd had as a child, and I think that's what really hit home. It wasn't the Legos that he'd left. It wasn't the toy dinosaurs. It wasn't the trucks. What was the hardest part was a little green bag that he had left, which had all of his stuffed animals in it, including a rather ragtag, torn, stuffed cat that he used to call Kitty. And he carried it everywhere with him when he was, 6, 7, 8 years old. He loved that kitty. There was also a stuffed alligator, little tiny alligator that I remember. We were traveling once, we were on vacation, we were traveling once, and he'd had his bag of stuffed animals with him, and that alligator fell out of the bag, and we had to turn around and go back and locate that little tiny stuffed alligator on the side of the road, which we did. But it was opening that bag to see what was in there, because I had totally forgotten what was in there. I think that's when it got emotional. And, all the memories come flooding back, and all the good times and the places you travel. And so this has been a tough day. He will be back. He's got some things that he has to come and get, and we still have to go through the financials. His name is on my car, so we have to go through all of that as well. And he will be back, but boys don't tend to stay in touch very, very well, and so it's hard. I wish him well, and I hope to God he does beautifully and makes a good life. And but I don't want to lose connection with him entirely. I hope I don't lose connection with him entirely. And so for my final words would be, if he was ever to see this, is I love you to pieces, kid. I love you to the moon and back. You're the best thing I ever did. Now go out there and make your way, make your mark. Have a good life. Find someone who loves you dearly, and make a commitment. Be kind to each other, and always stay as strong and as good as you are. He could be frustrating sometimes, but he's a very good kid. And so this isn't going to be a long one. I don't know if grieving is the right word, just a little blue. And I'll get through it. We'll get through this. It's what kids are supposed to do. So, until next time, take care, y'all, and be good to each other.